Tusken Bandoliers. We've already done the Lawrence of Arabia Bandolier. We're going to do the Boer War one now. I don't normally do this one. It uses a lot more leather. There's more sewing involved in it. It's not that bad, but there's still more sewing involved in it. You'll see what we got. Here are the pieces I have marked out. This one, okay, we have the little bullet holders and then the flaps that go over. These are the bullet holders. These are all the flaps and the little tabs that lock everything in place. And then the actual bandolier itself. I'm doing it in two pieces and I'm going to stitch it together at the end here. Just because I don't have a piece that's long enough. Like the other one, this is getting folded over, so we've got a finished seam on the bottom, and I'm not going to worry about it on the top because we have the flaps that go over it. So I have everything cut out, set up, and into separate piles. I'm going to start by sewing the middle of the main strap together, just because it's going to be the easiest. I get it out of my way, and then I can just keep doing everything over and over and over again. This is couch leather. I have no idea how thick it is. It seems relatively thin. I believe it's chrome tanned. Not that it makes that big of a difference. I have a leather needle in, standard sewing machine. There's nothing overtly special about it. Now we're just going to carefully sew. I start about 3/4 to 1/2 inch in. I go backwards and then I go all the way forwards and then I go back again. Just because it's easier to start that way. That is where we're at. It's easy, it's not that big of a deal. The reason I'm not terribly concerned about this is because there's a big flap that goes over it. So this seam is going to be covered, and then this one gets folded under anyway. I wouldn't do this if I had a piece that was long enough. Unfortunately, I do not. Let's talk bullet flaps for a minute so I get my handy dandy reference. They're all 3.5 inches wide, or tall, I'm sorry. 3.5 inches tall. I have 2 that are 4 inches wide and 3 that are 8 inches wide. The ones in the movie had 4 8-inch wide flaps. I didn't like that nearly as much because it laid weird on the shoulder, so I split one of them into 2, and it just lays a little better. Each one of these gets one of these little tabs sewn on. Those tabs are 4.5 inches long by 3/4 wide. The 8-inch ones get 2 of them. Just like that. Except it's on the other side because, you know, we're sewing top grain, not bottom grain. And for these, the center is roughly 2 inches. I'm just going to stitch down, over, and then back up. That's it. It's super easy. There's all the sewing in this is very tedious, but it's not difficult. So once we put everything together, I'll stitch that, and then we'll have flaps mostly done. So I'm going to start with a 4-inch, and I'm just sewing right along the edge there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Again, Tusken Raiders. And a good chunk of this, about 1.25 inches, gets folded behind, so you'll never see this. I just stitch it on because it's what I do. That's it. On to the next. 1 down, 7 more to go. So at this point, we're going to glue and glue. We're using a contact cement. I have everything marked where to put the cement. So now I just lay it all down, give it about 10 minutes to cure, and then come back and press everything down. I hope my jar has not glued itself closed. So I just hammered everything flat. Leather is a natural product, so it has a tendency to pull and push. And once I line everything up, if you look, there's this weird little bump here. Easiest way to deal with that, since there's a big flap going right over it, all I'm gonna do is mark it and cut it. I'm gonna try and keep these as straight. I'm gonna try and keep the pocket markings as straight as possible. Just go right across. And that little bit there gets cut off and will make my life so much easier. So all I've done is I've transferred the first flap mark to the other side in chalk and the last flap mark in chalk, and then I have marked every ½ inch. I've taken the straps themselves and just marked every inch. I've also measured up 3/4 of an inch and put a mark all the way across, because that is where the bottom of this goes. So now we're just going to stitch all the way across on the first line. Turn it. Mark or line the 1 inch mark with the ½ inch mark. Just a little hard to see. And then I'm just going to connect the lines. Rotate, do the same thing. Fortunately, there is no easier way of doing this. Just go back and forth and back and forth. I will periodically check just to make sure that I have not... Using chalk on leather doesn't work very well. So I've drifted up a bit. So let's move you back down a bit. So those are the first 4 bullet flaps. When we put, or bullet holders, I'm sorry. When we put our flaps on, it's gonna look like that. Which is exactly what we want. Now to do this a billion more times. That's a lot of stitching. But it's done. Not bad, not bad. Now, I'm gonna apply contact cement all along here, along every square, and on the back of each of these. So that's where we're at now. Contact cement. I'm not gonna apply it to, I'd say, the bottom 6 inches, just so when we pull everything together for the buckles, it's all right there. Let's just start with the top flaps. Those are the easiest. Those don't change, so we're just gonna put glue all along there. Now we give them 10 minutes to cure, and then we come back. Okay, now this is where things start to matter. This is the belt I am using for this bandolier. The reason I'm using it is it's got a weird texture on it, so I can't use it for a snout. But I want to wear it with my other bandolier. So I want them to be a set. And to do that, you have to have each bandolier going in opposite directions. Because you want the tops to still be on the top when everything is closed in together. So if you put both tops together, that'll tell you which way you need to put your bandolier to have it facing the right direction. So for this one, we put the belt this way and the long bit this way. That way when you wear them, the tops are still on the tops. So we'll start by putting this one in place, putting the long straight one in place, then we put the one that kicks 90 degrees. Right about there. So that's that. Double check this. Put the tops next to each other. We want the belts going in opposite directions, so I want this one to go this way. So now we just contact cement these, put everything together, and we should be done. Again, with contact cement, we're going to glue all of this down, fold it over just like we did on the other one. Then I'm going to put in a few fasteners just to hold it in place, because there is some stress on this, and I don't want to rely completely on glue. Long bandolier is long. This should be it for the contact cement for this one. Which is good because I'm almost out of contact cement. Another 10 minutes and we'll close everything up. Alright, let's drill some holes. Just like with the other one, I'm going to drill 2 holes here. Right in a couple of Chicago screws. Then on this end, we're doing 3. 1 in each of these corners, and then 1 dead center. Alright, we're going to set up on the other side, and then I'll bring it back in. So now for these, all we're going to do is fold them over, drill a hole through all 3 of these. There we go. Take a sand brown button. Give us just a little bit of a slit to slide the button through. There we are, 1 pouch done. Just do that 7 more times, and we will be in business. There's much less hardware on this one versus the Lawrence of Arabia one. But there's so much more leather. Looks like I may have miscounted. So there we have it. So there you have it. Pretty happy with how it turned out. They look really good together. They're going to look great on a Tusken. Give it a shot.